Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to yet another episode of the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Peninah Wachera. I hope you guys have woken up well and are excited to face your day. For me, I am really, really excited, and I look forward actually to having this conversation that we're having today. Yeah. So remember, if you want to interact with us, you can do so through our social media platform, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Video TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719 144 144. As it is the norm here at the Younib Breakfast Show, let's go straight to the morning bite of the day. Have you ever felt like you're constantly juggling work, deadlines, family responsibilities, and your own well-being, only to end the day feeling like you dropped the ball somewhere? You're not alone. In today's fast-paced world, many of us are running on empty, trying to meet everyone's expectation while silently battling stress, burnout, and mental exhaustion. On today's show, we are diving into the reality with the help of our professionals who will help us unpack why balance feels so hard to achieve, what it's doing to our mental health, and most importantly, how we can start to reclaim peace, purpose, and perspective in our daily lives. If you've ever felt stretched, too thin, or unsure how to prioritize yourself without guilt, this conversation is for you. So grab your cup of coffee, tea, or whatever you're having for breakfast, and let's have this conversation. Remember, this show is proudly brought to you by Mutua and Younib Organization, and we're trying to reach out to the community to teach you on matters mental health. So if you need any psychological help, you can always call the number 0700 352 250, and our very own psychologist will be able to help you out here. So allow me, guys, to welcome to you our therapist of the day who will be helping us be able to dissect the conversation of the day. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys feeling today?
Good.
You're feeling good?
Yeah.
What about you?
Wonderful. It's a good morning.
Okay, so I'd like you guys to just look at the camera and introduce yourselves, tell us what you do here, and we get to know more about you. Tuanze kwako.
Okay. Hi, wonderful people. My name is Beulah Njagi. I am a psychologist. I am an associate at Psychosocial Support Center, that's PSC for short, and we are working together with the Younib Organization to bring you all these good things through the TV shows, through the community outreach, through the school programs that we're doing, just to ensure that we're checking on the mental health of the youth, and we're making sure that we are at a healthy place, or we know what to do when you're not okay. And it's always such a joy to be with you in the morning and to learn together. Yeah.
We're also happy that you're always here in the morning. So we're also glad, yeah? Yes.
Okay, good morning. Peninah calls you beautiful people. So allow me to call you beautiful people also. So my name is Valentine Ndiwa. I am a psychologist working with Younib Organization together with PSC to ensure that our community is well in terms of their mental well-being. And I'm happy to be here this morning to share with you on the topic that is very relevant, especially to the young people who are struggling to get into the family life and also into the workspace. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And we are very excited also to have you guys here to be able to help us also know more about mental health, which is an initiative that the Younib Organization and also Mr. Ashen is trying to actually bring out to the community so that you might get help when it comes to your mental well-being. Our conversation of the day is about balancing work life and mental health, yeah? And I'd just like us to go straight there. So what does a healthy work-life balance actually look like, Valentine?
Wow. It's a good question there. A healthy work-life balance, basically it means that you have that time to do the work that you have at your workplace. That is your professional work. And also in terms of you yourself, you also have time for yourself to do the things that concern your life. And just like I've said, most of us, a lot of us, we may be in that category where of people who are really struggling to balance between their work and even their own personal life. So if you want to know that you are in a healthy space, you need to ask yourself if you have that time for yourself and the time to do your work. It also means that even at when you look at the work life that you have, it means that even at work you are in a position to know the different approaches that you will use to perform the tasks that are given to you. So for you to say that your life is balanced and even your work is balanced and even your mental well-being, there has to be time for you to cater on these specific needs. Yeah.
Awesome. Now that you have explained very well about the healthy work balance, Beulah, why is it so hard to see, like many people are really struggling with this work balance, yeah? People are really having it difficult to do it. So why is it very hard for people nowadays?
Okay, that's a very good question. I recently learned also to stop using the word balance because balance implies, having things 50-50 or having things equally. And at the day and age where roles are not, specific, kitambo it was the man goes out, provides, the lady stays home, takes care of the family. So you know how to thrive in whatever role that you're in because it's very assigned, very clear cut. But now everyone has to do everything and everyone has to contribute in every way. And so sometimes when you put the stress on balance, you may feel like you're not getting it for the days that maybe work demands more than family or family demands more than work. But if we look at it as, work and life integration, making all these areas of life meet and making sure that you're showing up for everything that you need to show up for, and that you're able to prioritize so that on the week that perhaps, end month when all reports are due, work will take more than any other thing, but that's okay because that's a season. And there'll be a season where you'll have to take more than everything, where family will have to take more than everything. So I think sometimes why people struggle might be that expectation that, I need to be 100 at work, then I come at home and I'm at 100, then I go to my hobbies and I'm also 100 there. And it's not possible because all these things include stress, include fatigue, and they take away from you. And in the same way, especially even for ladies, you're at a very different hormonal space each week, and that demands, different levels of energy, different output. And so maybe if we introduce a bit of grace, we might be able to handle these things better without feeling like you dropped the balls.
Okay, awesome. And I like the fact that you've said sometimes you don't have to have everything figured out. And it's very important for us to actually have the grace for ourselves and to also accept that this will always happen, yeah? So my next question goes to you, Valentine, and it is all about work life and mental health. So how does poor work life really... I have to use balance here.
It's okay.
Allow me. Yeah, so how does poor work-life balance affect mental health?
Okay, like you see, Beulah as well put it that sometimes because we are not able to, like she says, we don't use the word like balancing, because in balancing, it means that it has to be equal. And in this case, nothing can be equal. In the same way we are fighting for equal rights and all those things, at the end of the day, there is always somebody who is higher and somebody who is at maybe at a lower position. We can't always be at the same level. So when your work is not giving you an environment that is very, very supportive, same with your home environment. If you're coming from an environment at home which is not peaceful, same when you go to work, it's not peaceful. A lot of us these days are using the word toxic. Toxic has really come out. If something is not peaceful to you or it's not making sense, you just say, this thing is just toxic for me. So if you're not getting that, if at work you're not in a position to maybe even choose the tasks that you yourself, you feel like you can choose, you can do, because you might find in certain workspace you're given responsibilities which don't correlate with your professional. Maybe you studied to be a doctor, and you go work in a certain place where you are the doctor, you are the chef, you are the male man or the woman who is doing the delivery for the company. Sometimes it may overwhelm your mental well-being. So if there are clear set of boundaries in terms of the professional responsibilities that you're supposed to do, that is in your workplace, it means that your mental well-being will be okay. Yeah.
Awesome. I like the fact that now we are understanding a healthy work balance, and also, although Beulah has told us not to use balance, but allow me again to use it. But yeah, we are getting to understand what seems healthy and what is unhealthy. Yeah. And I'd like to ask you the question of the day. Have you ever felt like you're constantly juggling work, family, and your own sanity? What do you do or wish you could do to find balance? Yeah, so that's the question of the day. Remember, you can interact with us, send your responses through the social media platforms, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719 144 144. Let's take this short break and we'll be back with more. Welcome back. I'll go straight to sampling your feedback. I'll start with Lillian. She says, every single day, I feel like I'm on autopilot. Work, kids, house chores, repeat. I wish I could just take a weekend off without feeling guilty. James says, yes, especially since I started working remotely, the lines between work and home are so blurry now. I try to take walks and shut my laptop at 6, but it's still hard. Okay. Grace says, I constantly feel like I'm falling in one area to keep up in another. I wish I had more support or even just a quiet hour to reset my mind. I'll sample the last two. I pray, journal, and take time to breathe before jumping into my day. It's not perfect, but those little routines help me stay sane. The last one. I think we need to talk more about how men also struggle with this balance. I keep everything in, and that's not healthy. I'm trying to change that. Thank you so much for your responses and for also being open enough to allow us or to share your journey with us. Yeah. So I'd like you guys, our psychologists, please, if you can comment on the responses we've had.
Right. So of course we start by saying thank you guys for for sharing that with us, for being vulnerable enough to actually, share what you're going through. And they're very different aspects or things that, a lot of them have mentioned. Some have given us solutions, like the mention of little routines that can, help keep you sane, help keep you grounded. I think another issue that has come up is sometimes those lines get blurry, especially for the one who's talking about remote jobs. And so again, it's what two little routines can you introduce in your day that give that distinction between, work and this is now life. And I think the more we continue to have this conversation, the more we can, develop those or see what we can do to be able to clearly define those lines and have an idea of how we can begin to compartmentalize things so that it's not just one big mess. You feel like now life is just, you checked out. It's just happening, autopilot, as one of them said.
Yeah. Okay, Valentine, any comments?
I think my comment on this person who said that it's all autopilot, maybe just raise the question of do they have like leave days in their workplace, or it's work? There are people who work in companies that don't give them that off. So I feel like even as people are getting into employment, it's very, very important for them to understand like how does this company operate, so that when you get into that space, you know what you're getting into. So before you get into a certain workspace, it's very important to know how your roles look like, so that when you get into that space, mi mali nimejiingiza, sitawahi kuwa na off. Now, as a human being, we need that off. We need time to unwind. We need time to meet with our families. Sometimes we do fall sick. Sometimes if you are a parent, your children fall sick. So are you in that space whereby they're not even giving you that sick leave? So if you're in that, maybe if you're in that kind of an environment, you may need to reconsider and maybe seek for maybe employment in a different kind of a setting. So for that person who has said that it's like you are on autopilot mode, it's good for you to seek leaves in your workspace so that you can have time for yourself. And even as we are living in a world whereby you have to be seen to be busy, that's the kind of world that we are living. To the extent that if we sit and do nothing, it seems like we feel like we will be left behind by certain people, because we are living in a world whereby it's like we are competing with people, and this is coming mainly because of the social media. We are always looking at people, viewing their status, maybe in WhatsApp, in Instagram, and even in Facebook, and seeing how they are, and we are feeling like, I also need to do something so that I can be in that space. So it's very, very important to just have that space for yourself, whereby you're not doing anything completely. You're not thinking about the utensils are dirty, or the clothes are dirty, or the children. And this would really apply even for the people who are in the family setup. You need that time ya kutoroka watoto. Like isikue, all the time it's just you thinking about the kids. Enda mahali with your friends. Go do things that ziko tofauti. I'm not saying that leave your children and go away, but even as you're leaving, maybe umewachia somebody wa kuangalia, na mali penye uko usiku unafikiria about watu wako. You also need that space for yourself. So for that person, you can seek out the leave days. And in leave days also there are problems, because you can take a leave and then you go home and then it doesn't look like it's a leave. Yeah. It's like it's an extension of work, not work from the office,
but work from home.
Now work from the home. So we need to be selfish about our leave days and our times that we are using for ourselves. Yeah.
Awesome. I hope that advice proves to be of help to you, and to everyone who is maybe struggling right now when it comes to work balance. Yeah. So, Beulah, we have been hearing a lot of people saying, I struggle with work, I struggle with my work and personal life. So, how can people separate the two?
Okay, so it's important. Of course, you know that work is work, but sometimes we let it pole pole too. It seeps in slowly. It's, those two things you say, I'll go finish this at home. And then kidogo kidogo, you have a whole office at home, whereby whatever you'd have done in your downtime, you're just trying to catch up on work that, needed to have been cleared. So sometimes having that discipline, whereby even for people who are working from home, if work is from 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m. or whatever time, let that be work time. Anything else can, if it's not an emergency and you're able to tell what is a priority, what is urgent, what is important, but it's not, an emergency now, that can wait until your next working time or your next working day. So I think step one would be to be able to prioritize your life, your tasks, to understand what is important but not urgent, what is important and urgent, so that the urgent ones, you can create time, attend to them. The ones that are not urgent, they can wait for kesho. Yeah. And then number two, to make sure that you're creating time to do things that you enjoy, that you love, so that your life is not just focused on work. It can be so serious to the extent that your entire social life is your work life. There's no life outside of work. So being able to create time for, this is for me. Let me go do things that I enjoy. Let me go meet with people who I share common interests with, of things that I enjoy. Let me go to spaces where my faith is being built. So looking at building your life on all the other aspects. Is there a social place where you're going there and you're feeling refreshed? Is there a spiritual place where you're going there and feeling refreshed? Is there a physical place where you can expel that energy and come back feeling tired but you're feeling nice? Is there that time you can set to also just do nothing? As Valentine has said, it's always said that men usually have a nothing box in their head and sometimes they can go in there now talk up or too sour. So for those who may not know how to have a nothing box in your head, you can see if you can get a nothing day. And a nothing day means you don't have to worry about, the thing that you usually worry about. Let yourself relax. Hata usifikirie hizo vyombo, as well said. Just sleep, eat, be a princess or whatever you want to call yourself for that day, and then begin to now just acclimatize to doing those tasks. And I think one more tip I would give is, again, routines. Routines are very, very important in helping us to find structure, but also in helping our brains to find safety in that structure. So if I know that every day when I get home, the first thing I do is shower, then I eat, then I watch, a show for 30 minutes, then I journal, then I pray, then I sleep, my mind can trust that. So even if after a stressful day, I know I'm coming back home to a routine that helps me relax. For someone who is working from home, it's also very important to establish those routines. Usiingie kazi na pajamas, because now the day will just look like one jumbled mess. Have a routine. Wake up, shower, drink coffee as if you're actually going somewhere, and then get down to doing your work, and then have things that you do now after that are, regarding your personal life. So that also helps bring about the distinction. Yeah.
Awesome. I hope we are taking notes and we are getting help in what we've been struggling most, because this is something that most of us really are struggling kabisa with, yeah? And it's important for us to understand and also to take notes, to learn, because we're here to give you information and to help each other grow, to become better in different perspectives of life, yeah? So I want us to go for this short break and we'll be back with more concerning the conversation of the day. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Remember, this show is proudly brought to you by Miss Ashan and Younib Organization, and we are trying to reach out to the community to teach you on matters mental health. So if you need any psychological help, you can always call the number 0700-352-250, and our very own psychologist will be able to help you out here. So let's continue with this conversation. Valentine, how can therapy really help someone struggling to balance all areas of their life?
That's a very important question because a lot of people do struggle to balance the responsibilities that they have for themselves and even for their work. So many people are finding themselves with a lot of stresses, and this stress is coming out with because of inability to have control. As a human being, if you don't have a control over anything, it tends to give you stress. And when stress is too much, it will even affect how your mental well-being is. So therapy is very, very important for that person who is struggling to balance between work and even their own life. Because in therapy, this is the space whereby you will get that opportunity to be yourself. You will get that opportunity to notice or even know your thoughts on different areas of your life, or your thoughts on the kind of work that you're doing. And therapy may even help you to set maybe certain goals and boundaries that will help you in your workspace and even in your home space. So therapy is very, very important because when you go to a therapist, this is a person who is neutral. At the same time, they are there so that they can help you make the correct decision. So when you're going for therapy, because I believe we'll talk about therapy, there are people who have that notion of therapy is only for people who have serious problems, of which this is not the case. Anybody and everybody can go to therapy, because even when you go to therapy, it's also a way of developing and even growing personally, because this is a space whereby you'd be able to understand yourself more with the help of a therapist, because a therapist is somebody who has been professionally trained to help people help themselves. So you're not going there because the therapist has got all the answers to the challenges or the issues that you're facing, but you're going there because the therapist will help you know more about yourself. If you're having challenges at work that is making you not to have that balanced space, when you go to therapy, your therapist will be able to help you identify that is the issue that is affecting your balance at home and even at workplace. So it's very, very important for you to go for therapy sessions. Even you'll get to know some of the skills that you are challenging with. It could be on time management. Maybe you are having a hard time to balance between your work and even your family life and your own life, because you don't know how to manage your time. So when you go for therapy, you'll be able to know what to do, because the therapist will be able to assist you in that.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. And I hope you're taking notes, guys. Again, it's important for us to follow up this conversation and get to also take the most important things that will be able to help us become better people. Yeah. So, Beulah, it is said that it is really difficult for people to actually accept change, which is normal. And we are told we should be open to change, but it's always a difficult thing for many people because you've constantly done things that you are used to already, that you're supposed to change maybe to something new. Yeah. Why am I saying this? It's because my next question is all about change. You know, as we are changing, we're trying to now bring in the balance into our lives. We're trying to actually try and say work to remain at work and personal life to remain personal. It will be a very difficult change because you're already used to carrying the work with you at home, and also your personal life is going back to work with you. You see, so it's already a cycle that will be hard, or a habit that will be hard to change. So my question is, how can someone really start making small changes without really feeling overwhelmed?
Okay. So we can start by, making use of the tools that, we usually readily have that is these two things, two gadgets, because in it, or like a tiny notebook in it, this gadget has a notepad, it has a calendar, it has alarms, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're trying to make that conscious decision, because tumeongea about kuibeba, when you're carrying home to work, you're not literally going with home to work. You're not carrying that baby to work, or those clothes to work, but you're constantly thinking about them. So what you can do is you can have a to-do list, in the morning, as you're, having time before you start your day, you can have a to-do list of the things that you need to do for work, the things that you need to do for home. And so, of course, when you're heading to work, you're trying to tick off your to-do list, your work. When you go home, you can now tick off to-do list, your home. But because of your mazoea, when you're at work, inafikanga to 10 a.m. ushasikia, ushaenda home in your head.
Yeah.
So you can jot down, like if there are things maybe you're afraid you'd forget or it will keep on coming, you can just write it down so that you tell your mind, okay, fine, do your part. Here's a record. I'll attend to it when time for work is done. And so just making use of those two notes. Again, we're going back to, what I've said a number of times. Routines is what we're trying to establish. So kidogo kidogo too, the two ways of which, when you think about rest, what does that mean to you? How can you bring a little of that every day to your daily life? Kidogo kidogo too. We're not expecting, and I think also challenging our expectations of what, as you've said, that balance looks like, yeah. So that you're able to accept yourself and extend grace to yourself at whatever battery life you have, if I may call it that, so that when you feel like you're too stretched thin and you still have work demands, okay, so how much of that work demand can you handle? Again, going back to prioritizing. When you're back home, how again do you need to prioritize, right? Are there things also that perhaps you have taught the people around you that they cannot do because you'll always handle, right? So no one else thinks about the dishes because they always know, Beulah kifika home, dishes is zake, food ni yake, like anything to do with home. And likewise at the office, they know, they may not even clear up their workspace. Those two extra things that are not really related to work. So what are the things in your life that you can also delegate? Valentine was talking about taking a weekend away from those children, or a day or a few hours. We're not saying abandon, we're not advocating for abandoning your children, but it is important to create that time for me. And what helps you to even enjoy that me time is when you have delegated what you ought to have done to someone that you trust, so that you're not over there on your me time and you're just thinking, now amekula kweli, now acha tu nipige, and you actually end up not using that time for yourself. You come back stressed, and you come back, you're kelelesha in everyone, and everyone is wondering, I thought you had gone to refresh, And so also being able to notice what are the levels, how do I know I am stressed, or I am burnt out, or I am fatigued, so that you're able to arrest it, so that by the way, that's a time to ask for that off day or leave day. That's a time to really focus on yourself. That's a time to tell the people that you live with, leo msinitafute, nawapenda, but leo msinitafute, just handle yourselves. Or to allow yourself to drop the balls that can be dropped, so that you don't run on steam, you don't go on autopilot, and then you realize you're actually not living life. Life is just dates to the calendars in a pita, and you can't even say what you have enjoyed or what you have been present for. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for coming, guys, for helping us be able to dissect this conversation. And I'm sure we've gotten to learn a lot. And I'm hoping that, yes, we are speaking or we are getting to learn from here, but we also try to make them practical. Yeah, it's important. If you feel you're overwhelmed, if you feel like this resonates with you, it's important for you to try your level best to make sure that whatever advice we've been given here, we can be able to make it into practice and see whether it will change our life. And if you see that it's still difficult for you, you can always reach out to a therapist who can be able to help you out in a better way, in a way that you can be able to now understand and see, is this really the problem or there's something more to it? Yeah. So remember, you can always call the number 0700-352-250 and they will be able to help you out. Yeah. So asanteni sana kwa kukuja.
Thank you sana.
To everyone who's made this show a success, thank you so much, Elias, for being our director and also our camera person with the help of Rose Chege. Asanteni sana for the good work you guys are doing. And to you, our viewers, thank you for always ensuring that you always watch the Younib Breakfast Show and also share it to other people, because it's because of you that we bring these conversations to be able to help you become better and to be able to make sure that you are always constantly learning something new in the morning. Yeah. So until next time, do have yourselves a beautiful day ahead. Goodbye.